Welcome to the Emo Social Club podcast, broadcasting to you live from emosocialclub.tv. I am Brian.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're here tonight with Cathedral Bells. Hello, thank you so much, man, for coming on. We super appreciate it, and we're excited to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here virtually with you guys.
Yeah, we should introduce you by your actual name, Matt.
The name is Matt. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like, you're Cathedral Bells. That's your first and last name now.
That's just how it is.
That's on my birth certificate.
Yeah. Well, let's have you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your band and tell us what you do in it and all that good stuff.
Well, Cathedral Bells is a band based in Florida. That's where we're located. I formed it in about some point in 2018, like towards the end of the year, and it just kind of started as a solo project, and it kind of brought it into like more permanent members for live and also for creating things. So it's just we call it a dream pop band. Has a lot of post punk into it, drum machines, a lot of reverb. And yeah, so that's pretty much that. Cathedral Bells is the name.
Sweet, yeah. You're on a label called Spiritgoth Records.
Yes, Spiritgoth. They just put out the new album that came out at the end of January, and they're a cool label. It's owned by Josh and his partner Sonia. He also plays in Castlebeat, which is a really cool band.
It's just a phenomenally good name.
Yeah, I thought that. I said, there's no way that this is the name. And I said, it is. And I love the aesthetic of everything of it.
Definitely love the label. They're always putting out really cool stuff. They have kind of like their vibe and sound and like cult following. So yeah, the name is cool. You can't not like Spiritgoth.
You really can't. It's like Cathedral Bells and Spiritgoth. I'm just feeling like, I don't know. We were talking about vibe checks earlier, and I'm like, that vibe checks. Oh, yeah. That vibe really checks out.
Yeah, definitely. Your new album, Ether, definitely gave me that kind of 80s. Like you said earlier, there's a lot of post-punk in it, but more like that 80s goth vibe. And that's definitely what I like to listen to in like the terms of synth-type music.
Cool. Yeah, that was really good to hear. I'm glad you like that. And it's like we're definitely influenced by like the Cure kind of sounds. So the Cure in general. That's fun. It's fun. It's fun to do. And sound gothy.
Where did so I know you were in a band before called You Blew It.
Yeah, You Blew It. That was actually, we formed that. It was me, Tanner, and then Timothy was the drummer. I think he ended up leaving the band at some point, or I don't really know the full situation, but the three of us started You Blew It. It was actually originally going to be called Run Home Jack. That's what we decided to go with. You Blew It.
I like the name. I remember it from back in the day. I was like, oh yeah, this is familiar. I remember this. But I don't remember having a lot of like synths. Maybe I'm remembering it.
Yeah.
Like, is this like a big transition from like what you were in before and what you were doing before to like this and why did you want to do something so different?
I feel like it's I've always kind of played in like different kind of projects. I've always been in a lot of different bands and different, I guess, genres or format of music. I kind of always had more of like a punk kind of background, I guess. But I don't know. I always wanted to kind of do something a little bit more like experimental and like ambient and kind of spacey, like Jesus and Mary Chain, like kind of 80s pop in that way. Just never being in Florida, especially, like hasn't really been. It's not really like, I don't know. I feel like more like hardcore and punk is in Florida, or like metal. But there's actually a lot of cool like bedroom pop bands that I'm starting to find out more about, which is cool. But yeah, so it's, I don't know where I went with this question, or like, you know, where we're at with this, but yeah, I guess the transition from going to Cathedral Bells, I've played in a couple other projects that was pretty similar, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I've always like appreciated as a kid, like just like the clean sound, like tones on the guitar and like chorus effects and like the drum machines and like the like reverb and just effects, and so yeah, that's always been like an interest, and now being able to like fully focus on it or like writing like that is just, yeah, it's nice. I couldn't imagine not having like effects and, you know, whatever I'm doing with this project. It feels good. So I wanted to create it.
Where did you end up getting a lot of like the ideas for this most recent album that you have out? Because I feel like there's a lot of synth pop and dream pop bands out there, but I'm not finding too many of them that kind of have similar sounds that you have. Was there anything in like particular, like either in your life or anything that you were just kind of like honing in on specifically that kind of brought out these types of tones?
That's a good question. I don't know if I could properly come back with I don't know. I just I really like reverb a lot, and that's kind of like I kind of overuse it, I guess, on pretty much everything. So I think that kind of has a big part of the sound. I know a lot of artists, you know, especially for like trying to, I don't know, I guess there's like pop radio music that uses reverb, but I don't know, I just kind of like that, like kind of gritty, like almost like lo-fi production, with a lot of reverb and just like it kind of like in the mix and just everything, it kind of just blends together. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of more like stuck on, or like lost in like, I guess there's a lot of bands that carry that reverb sound too, but I just like you know, bands like Dive and Beach Fossils, like the early the label captured tracks. They kind of, when they started, they had a lot of like bands that had this like earlier sound that kind of like brought it up to more, I guess you can say like new gaze or like modern shoegaze music. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of I think where I try to fit in with this project, like a balance between like lo-fi, bedroom pop, dream pop kind of stuff mixed with like more like new gaze. All these like subgenres of it's hard to, but yeah, I mean that's kind of the best way to kind of put it. Like, I mean, I like a lot of earlier stuff, but I also can listen to, I don't know, it just kind of goes all over the place. Like a lot of stuff that I'm influenced by too is not even like dream pop. It could just be like whatever. It could be like Jim Croce, for example. It could just be like whatever, something on the radio. Just kind of like music is just kind of a form of communication in a way, or just some kind of, you know, you relate in your own ways with whatever you. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with this album. Like I didn't really know it was going to turn into an album. It just kind of, these songs are pretty much written in like all of 2020, just kind of like in sessions or like in random, you know, parts of the year. And it just kind of turned into what it was. But I just knew that I had like some kind of theme for the album, just kind of getting more of the sounds that I did for the first album, but just, you know, a little bit more comfortable with it, I guess, or I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that really answered it. Dropping the ball here.
No, I mean, like I think when you're looking at like the year of 2020 and you're like, what inspired you? It's either a question of like, how did you create something in a year when like, man, it's really fucking hard to create something, or it's like, where did you find any inspiration? I'm like, I'm sitting inside. I'm not inspired to do shit. Like I look at the same like white walls of my apartment and go, it's this forever. Like, where am I supposed to find inspiration in that?
It was a really tough year, I think, for everyone, for sure. I mean, nothing. I don't know. We must be lying or something, but yeah, like I definitely was like pretty depressed and like miserable for like 2020, to say the least. So, yeah, I guess that's probably what sparked it. Like I was really unmotivated to write, ironically, but I just kind of like kept going because that's like all that I really had, to keep some kind of momentum going. I don't know. I couldn't like imagine not be working on something, in terms of like music. So that's kind of what it was for me. And after like finishing each song, it kind of helped me keep going forward, I guess, through the year. But it was definitely really motivating. Like I scrapped a lot of stuff, and it wasn't as easy fleshed out as it seems, I guess. So it kind of just worked out pretty much towards the end of the year. I like kind of like recapped on everything, and I was like, wow, it's all like kind of came together kind of fast, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It was difficult for sure.
Yeah, something positive had to come out of the chaotic year. That was 2020. And at least, we got this really good album. And I also find that it's really interesting that both of your albums are kind of back to back, because one came out in 2020, one came out in 2021. So I was like, this is like a kind of, not like a quick turnaround, but you usually don't see a lot of like artists.
Yeah, for sure.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And also to hear kind of the differences between both.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not really expected. It just kind of like, when we were talking with Spiritgoth earlier in the year, like kind of like early in the summer, we released a single off their like side label, which is called Birth DIY, and that kind of like led to doing a release with Spiritgoth, and they kind of just focus on albums. So we kind of talked about doing like a mini album thing. So that's kind of what sparked having another album, and it's actually getting pressed on vinyl, which we'll be sharing very soon.
Nice.
So there was a little delay in that. Came out the album with Ether that came out with Spiritgoth came out on the 29th of January, and so we have the tapes come out, and now the vinyl coming out soon. But yeah, what was the question you're on with the? I feel like I'm like ADHD. I'm just like getting all out there.
No, hey, we're loose here. So
we're super loose.
Yeah,
so loose.
Good.
Super loose.
I just found it to be like really interesting that you had like these two different records that kind of sounded a little bit different come like out. I would say back to back, just because it's 2020, 2021. And that they're just strong albums that we hear it on. And I think that's like really cool as a premise.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like for the first album, that was kind of a mix of like when I like a kind of an EP that kind of, so like the side B of Velvet Spirit is kind of like an EP, like how I first I guess started the project, and then it kind of turned into an LP. So like really it was kind of written between like parts of 2018 up into 2020. So like it kind of it's the timing's all over the place, I guess. But I feel like I'm still.
No worries. It's mostly you that's writing the music. Then you mentioned that like you have some people that are joining you. I think you said on more of a permanent basis now. So. Has it been mostly you, and then you have like musicians that are working with you, or are you like the main? You just like write everything, and you're like, I got your parts.
Not really necessarily that, but I mean, I kind of like structure and write everything. Kind of more of like at home kind of thing. But actually, a recent member that Kyle that plays bass, he actually records too at home, and he records a lot of bands in Orlando, or just in general, like all over, and. So like he actually helps a lot with the production. He's done some recordings at his place, and so it's kind of been like a collaboration, like for more towards like maybe the last few tracks of the recent album, and then also he mixed the full album for the new album too. So it was like more of a dynamic like that. It's definitely more like kind of like I come up with the essentials, like the sequence and like I guess the theme and like whatever the textures, and then like it'll just kind of get like added or layered on. But there was a song that I kind of like worked with the drummer Aaron. We went through like I had an idea and he just kind of like came up with some drum beats and I just kind of like sequenced it with his like samples, like electric drum set, this rolling kit. But yeah, like that's like a big thing for, you know, like I guess the sound cues. I kind of always kept it like sampled, like custom samples and like drum machine stuff. So I mean, there's like live recordings on drums, but like it's mainly just like all like kind of Frankenstein together, I guess. So it's a little different kind of formula.
Yeah.
But man, I feel like I'm so off on the general like topic. I keep
no, it's
that's what
honestly
that's
on,
what
yeah.
you can do. Like it's interesting. I mean, like I don't know how to make any type of music, which is why I'm on the media side.
Okay, yeah.
So hearing about this is always really interesting, especially because I know a lot of our audience, more often than not, they probably listen to some type of synth or like non like rock music, and it's like, oh, do I just hit the button and it goes boop? And it's not like that, obviously. Because when you're talking about like the textures, you could make it do that.
You can make
but when you're talking about like the textures, I'm like, okay, like, you know, thinking about it, I could hear that in some of Ether and then some of other like kind of synth poppy bands that I've listened to. Been like, oh, I think I kind of understand what's like going on with it, like what you're mentioning, and it's like really cool to kind of have that, like, you know, extrapolate it out to like have a better view on how this is all coming together.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a weird process of getting it together, but it's really just kind of like a really personal thing. I think that's kind of what it comes down to for me, at least. That's why I like kind of like writing and recording at home, like especially like recording vocals at home. Like I've recorded in, you know, like studios, but just having that at home feel. I mean, it might change down the road, but at least what I've done for this project so far, that's kind of like what keeps it for me, is just trying to keep it as like at home, like bedroom feel as you can. Like it helps. I mean, it's like it goes into like the production of it side of it too. But yeah, so I think that is a important part of the project, and that also kind of understand, and we're able to, you know, connect on that. And yeah.
I think that's like the hardest thing, is like having like your intention and like what you want to do with it, and then finding the right people to like come in and help you with that process. Like if you're saying like, I definitely want this to feel like bedroom pop and feel like, you know, it's created in this sort of an environment, and then be like, I need to find people that are also like that. I don't know what the scene is like in Orlando, but everybody I would know would just be like, nah, man, guitars and loud and everything and big rooms. And it's like, sometimes you gotta like focus in a different direction.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it definitely works for, just really depends on like what you're trying to, you know, do, I guess. So like I said, I mean, I listen to like a lot of different kind of types of forms of music. So, you know, just really depends on like what you're trying to make, I guess. And that's what the beauty of music is, just kind of making something from nothing. And just, yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to say I thought it was interesting because with the whole like resurgence and like the DIY scene, that people are bringing back like cassettes, and I realized Spiritgoth had a bunch of cassettes, and obviously Ether is on a cassette too. What's your take on that? Because I think it's cool and interesting, and I know that like Walkman sales are jumping up, and Walkmans are now more expensive. Yes,
really?
People are like, how am I going to listen to my cassette?
Yeah, of course. You know
what?
I mean, I love that. I mean, I know tapes are like cheaper to make; they're easier to make, I guess. And you know, it also has like that analog, you know, sound. You know, you kind of get that nice, crisp, and you know, same thing with like vinyl too. You know, it's kind of more of like a collector's thing, and you know, it's like just. I mean, I appreciate like the art and the, you know, the tape itself, and like it just has like a different sound versus like digital. Or just, you know, like, you know, I know like CDs are a thing, but I know you don't really see it that much into like kind of independent artists or like DIY artists kind of. I feel like tapes is a big thing for that community, and I support it. I love it, and yeah.
It's really interesting. I found out that Walkman sales are up. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm like, is that like a Guardians of the Galaxy direct correlation where it's like you see Star-Lord and he's like bopping around to 60s and 70s music and it's like, I need to be Star-Lord, and then it's like, hey, you got a Walkman, here's my band on cassette. Because all of that sounds great to me, and that would literally be my like inroad to any of it.
Oh my god.
It's like, well, I got this Walkman because I wanted to be Star-Lord. Like, I'll definitely check all these tapes out.
Yeah.
Also compared to vinyl, like, I mean, I don't know. I from the collector side of it, obviously, it's like, well, you want something physical to support, and if I'm thinking of it right, like CDs just aren't really like that for most collectors in current world. Even though it's like we've moved on from like any physical media, it still is like I'd rather have a cassette or I'd rather have a vinyl than have a CD. I don't really know what the physical difference or like what it changes for a person to own that versus something else, but just I think cooler to have cassettes or vinyl, I guess.
Definitely cooler to have tapes and vinyl.
Yeah.
But I mean, like CDs is a thing too. You know, you can't really like completely bust on. You can find some good goodies out there. Some people have that's like convenient for their car. You know, a lot of people have cassettes. You know, that's So record players in their cars. So. Like that.
There's probably like a lot of kids that like get their parents' old car and they're like just driving for the first time in high school and they're just like, all I got is cassettes, and it's like, thank God my favorite bands are putting all their music on cassettes.
Yeah, someone out there is living the dream right now.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm living my best coming of age novel, movie, whatever it is right now in this car.
That's right.
I was driving around to like Taking Back Sunday and Coheed and Cambria on CD. And if I ever have a kid come to me and be like, yeah, I'm listening to this new band on this thing called a cassette, I will slap that child.
No.
But that'll also be like, the kid's cooler than me.
Cassette, to be honest.
Yeah.
Personally.
I'd be like, man, all right, this kid's too cool for me. I'm finally reached that age where I'm like, it's all coming back around where I'm like, I'm too old now. But also like the technology that I knew is like cool and retro. Oh, I'd be so mad. I'm thinking about how angry I'd be.
You just have to start dressing the part now because the 90s style's coming back. It's time.
Yeah. Gotta say, it was mentioned in chat too. Your shirt is fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I put it on for this occasion. This is actually the most recent thrift store find. I did wash it, so it's got a nice smell to it.
It's style. It's really it's fashion.
Yeah, thank you. It's got a nice kind of fabric to it. It's like silky. It's very 90s kind of like, I don't know. It's like a rough silky. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm like looking at it and I'm like, it kind of looks. It has like that 90s feel.
Yeah.
Like a Seinfeld style.
Very grateful. Count your lucky stars for the great thrift store finds.
I literally was just on TikTok and there were some thrift stores somewhere in Florida, which one of the people in our Discord said that it's 4 hours away from them because they're also in Orlando. And it had like all these very chaotic things where I was like, oh, they're just going to have like different types of like cool thrifted clothes. And it's like, here's this old school, like Zoe 101, Hannah Montana looking room ripoff thing. I'm like, what is this? And there's like Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Balls, like replicas in it.
I have to go. I'm driving down. Excuse me. I'll be in Florida very quickly.
No.
Come on down.
I mean, it's I don't know if you're aware that it is snowing way too much in Chicago, and we're buried in it. And like everyone that I know in Florida has just been sending like weather reports like, man, it's like 70 outside. It's so hot. And I'm like, I don't think we have any friends in Florida anymore. They're all assholes. I'm like, you'll get yours, but none of them have gotten theirs, and I'm really upset.
Yeah, no snow here. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
We've been getting a little rain though, little drizzles.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry you have to go through that rain.
It's rough for sure. No, I can't complain about the weather here though. Yeah, I know how Chicago gets. I used to live in Michigan, so so it's like 3.5 hours away roughly.
Yeah. It's I imagine that everybody would. We make fun of Florida, for all the news and shit, but it's like I'd be there right now. I'd take it over anything. Like I don't care. It can get that bad here that I'm like I'm fine with whatever Florida has to offer. Like I don't care.
Yeah, Florida's a little wonky, but we got some things here. Like we got Disney World,
Yeah.
Universal, and we got beaches, Daytona Beach.
True.
Actually, my brother and his girlfriend are at Daytona Beach today, so there's that.
Nice. We're getting ready for spring break.
Exactly.
For, Girls Gone Wild.
Oh no!
Just kidding.
Is this panorama right now? Girls Gone Wild? No. I did find something interesting because there was a new Noise article, and I'm assuming it was an interview that you did with them, and it was them asking about I think it was like Saga something resorts, and it sounded like it was like a spiritual retreat, and then trying to relate it to your music, but it would seem a little bit strange to me with the way that they worded it and formatted it. And I guess it was asking if it was derived for some inspiration for your music. And I just wanted to get clarification on it because I looked up what this place was and I'm like, is this a spiritual retreat or is this a Jared Little cult spiritual retreat? I just want to know.
I mean, it's just like a little town. There's really no specific spark of inspiration in that town. It's the town. It's really no, as far as the music community, Bright Eyes had an album that was named Casadega, which is where that was from. But yeah, I mean, really, I don't know. Definitely not. I don't know. They have a spiritual thing, but it's not they just. I don't know. I don't really know how to put it. And, yeah, but it's just a town, I guess. I keep saying I couldn't really say that.
Yeah, no, I looked
I don't
it
know
up.
what else to say.
I looked it up and then I had the Google Maps up and it said one of the closest things was a haunted museum or something, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's kind of spooky, I guess. But there's a graveyard and there's old houses and just, I guess I don't know I don't think there's any ghosts there, or who knows, maybe there is. But yeah, there's just weirdos, I guess. We're all weird though,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're all a little bit weird.
You're describing this and I go, that sounds fantastic and I want to go
to
there.
Yeah, we're going right now.
I'd like to go there. Really, I mean, there's park. There's a park there that kind of has a lot of trails, and I mean, I like to go in there. There's just a nice breezy, sunny day, kind of go through there. But I mean, aside from that, I mean, there's the lake, just kind of suburban living. There's people living their lives there, and I think it's just kind of an older town, so it's got that history, and it's it's got that whole spiritual. There's just little shops and stuff, and people that will do, what do you call them, the psychics and stuff that will try to get your money and tell you about your future and stuff. So there's stuff like that, and then people have Facebook groups and get together, and I think once a week or something meet up and just talk about stuff. I guess there's haunted stuff there, but I mean, I don't know. When I was in high school, I went into the graveyard, and that was kind of creepy because the light flickered, and it's on this weird road. But yeah, I mean, it's there's no heavy inspiration, I guess, from that new Noise thing that I asked that. I didn't really know how, what to But yeah, it's just like a town, you know. Go back to that. It's a town, and
It's
yeah,
a spooky
it's just
New
where-
York town with psychics.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's not like a dream pop like community there, or you know, like music thing going on. But yeah, I'd say like Orlando like is the strongest thing for like Central Florida for like, you know, music coming through. And yeah, there's definitely pockets of Florida. I mean, Florida's a big state, but there's a lot of, you know, artists that are out doing cool things. Well, I don't know about out, but you know, like, you know, making music and putting it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Who are some artists in like the Orlando and like Florida area near you that you've been really like into lately, or do you think that kind of deserves a little bit more like recognition?
Oh, for sure. There's an artist or a band called Air Hockey that I think is awesome. Kind of sounds like a Spiritgoth kind of band, or it's similar to Cathedral Bells. It's got like that, like lo-fi, dream pop, like effects, cool like recordings, tones, textures. There's another one that recently I came across that they just, I think it's a solo project. I kind of briefly talked to them on social media, but it's called Dreams on Tape. It's based in Tampa. And yeah, the other band, Air Hockey's in Miami. There's a couple others that are just out there, you know, there's quite a few that are just kind of in little pockets, but those two like specifically like just were like recent ones that like really hit for me. I was like, wow, like it's cool to, you know, hear and see this coming from Florida. I mean, because there's a lot of great bands in Florida, but like to hear something so like close to home for like, you know, this, you know, Cathedral Bells, you know, it was really cool in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask because like you mentioned that it's a big state, and when we think of like, you know, a lot of cities, it's like, no, you just have like the bands in that city and like the suburbs around it. But I'm like, yeah, there's like, Lizzie, were you asking me to like name like bands from different cities the other day? Somebody was asking me to do
Did
this.
I?
So, like, all these like cities in Florida, and I'm like trying to name like, no, it was Kieran. Sorry.
That was
I'm
not
remembering.
me.
Yeah. It was my buddy Kieran was like, where was this one band from in Florida? And I'm like, Ocala. And then I'm like, no, that's Mayday Parade. And then it's like, shit, where's Day to Remember from? Like, shit. Like, it's like all that kind of stuff where you're like, oh, it's like all these different like little pockets of Florida. Like, does the scene feel like it changes like as you travel through? Is it like a different sense of like the music scenes throughout Florida, or is it pretty similar? Is there like a lot of different like influences going around?
I mean, I feel like that there's probably like, you know, hidden gems all over, you know, Florida, just like, you know, artists and also like fans that listen to like, you know, cool music or whatever. But yeah, I feel like though, at least personally, I would say like Tampa and Orlando were like two spots at least I would feel like I noticed a lot of like bands that are similar to Cathedral Bells like would come through and have like that kind of like community of, you know, I guess places to play and people would show up. But yeah, I feel like Gainesville probably has more of like a punk or hardcore. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, but I feel like that, you know, because they have the fest there, which kind of reels in a lot like the No Idea records and like a lot of like that. So I feel like more like punk background, like a broad, just like a big variety of, you know, like the festival and the bands. But so I feel like Gainesville would probably like kind of fit more into that. But yeah, Miami seems like pretty diverse too. Like there's just a lot going through. You know, in South Florida. I don't really know much about Tallahassee and Pensacola, but from my experience, it's pretty like cool. And they got like I mean, like every big city, I feel like has like a community of, you know, people booking shows, you know, trying to get bands to come through. I mean, obviously we're in a pandemic now, so there's not much shows at all, but
Right.
Yeah, like before, and you know, I'm sure when things. I mean, I'm sure a lot of places have been hit all over for like venues, trying to, you know, stay open. But yeah, you know, there's not like a crazy like huge scene all around Florida. Like I don't know much about like Ocala. I know like there's Day to Remember and other artists from there, but I don't know like how the scene is there. So yeah, I'd say like Florida is like a big state, and like if you know like an artist were to come through and say like Orlando or like Tampa or Gainesville is like usually the spots that people hit or artists hit just because it's easy to go through. I don't really know. You can make a whole tour out of just Florida alone. It's like got that. Whole, like,
yeah.
Like, I'm not really drawing it right, but is that Florida? I don't know. That's probably
it'll
It's a panhandle. It just goes down.
You know, it's like a yeah. You get it. You can Google it later if you don't know what Florida is like. But yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people here. You know.
Yeah.
It's a big place.
I was gonna say it's like you're naming like so many cities that you can literally just like travel to all of them and play a show there. Like it's
you can do like a whole like week and a half tour just in Florida, hitting all these spots. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm missing out on any regions of Florida.
Forgetting a certain scene.
Geography here. Is it geography?
Yeah, it's like a geography lesson for everybody. Be like, all right, guys, let's remember which state is which, and then the capital of the state.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think the capital of Florida is Tallahassee. Am I right? Tallahassee? Right. Tallahassee.
There we go.
So, yeah.
Our fact checkers are telling us yes, it's Tallahassee.
Florida 101 for you. Just testing the waters on everyone else out there, even from Florida.
I only remember the capitals of states from that Animaniac song.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Animaniacs.
I had to do that in choir in like elementary school, and I was like, I don't know we're doing this, but I'm never gonna forget the fucking state capitals now. So,
what year did you guys graduate? High school.
High school. I graduated in 05.
2012.
Yeah, it's upsetting every time I hear her say it.
I'm 07, so I'm kind of like in between.
Yeah.
See,
then I'm like, oh yes, you're of course, you know, like in normal ages, and then there's just children who are like, what's this Walkman? This is a cool new piece of technology.
Yeah.
This thing called tapes.
Cassettes are a new thing. Yeah. It just came out.
Dad, you don't understand. I need my cassette tapes.
Yeah, I think Mac DeMarco formed the cassette tapes. I think that's what Wikipedia says.
I believe that 100%. Just like knowing how Mac DeMarco is as a person and his persona, that makes a lot of sense.
Just came out and we're like, whoa, what's a tape?
Wow.
Yeah. I used to collect a lot of VHS. Actually, now we're on the analog subject. You know, I used to love VHS. I still do. I mean, I'm kind of a big fan of, not kind of, I'm definitely a fan of just like glitch VHS as cliche and, you know, as you probably see it everywhere. Those, you know, loaded ads, you know, scrolling through social media, you'll see it somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. Give me all the glitch, you know, even the bad Netflix movies, the documentaries, you know, like the ghost, like first person camera ones with the fake glitch. I'll take it.
Yeah. No,
just
it's like
all the glitch.
All this like vaporwave stuff and all this like old style, like bring it back, like taking like pristine 4K video and then just putting like cropped in boxes and like glitches over it. I'm like, I love that shit. I love it. I'm like,
can't get enough
tear it up.
Yeah.
And it's just it's like it's weird nostalgia. I don't know. It's weird.
You had asked me what was that Chicago vaporwave music style that you asked me? And
C-punk?
I'd never heard of it in my entire life.
That sounds really cool. Wait, D-punk or C-punk?
It's a C as in SEA. It's like literally it's kind of like vaporwave. It's very like Windows 95, like original computer looking stuff, like graphic design and stuff. Wow. And then all of the people who perform it have like either like blue hair or purple hair or pink hair, and it's like very neon, and the aesthetics are just very like ocean. I don't know.
Ocean.
You try to describe it and you're like, how do I describe this thing? And it's like, it was literally like 5 people in Chicago that were just like, we'll just figure out the fucking weirdest thing we can do. And then just like, yeah, But I saw like a C-punk DJ and C-punk artists, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. I'm watching it. It's happening in front of me, and I couldn't tell you what this is. But
I think that might be the next album name. Actually, sorry, I mean to.
Oh yeah,
C-punk.
Look, they're definitely not doing it anymore. So I don't feel like it's
up
like
for grabs. It could be yours now.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take it and roll with it. So what part of Chicago? Sorry, I'm like through.
No, it's fine.
You're
Where in
good.
Chicago are you guys from? Are you from?
Lizzie lives in the suburbs, and technically
it's
frustrating to hear her say that she's from Chicago. But
I don't. I say I'm in the suburbs
I know, she does.
of Chicago.
And I live on the north side of the city.
You're the northwest side, sir. Come on.
It's north.
Northwest.
Northwest.
Like the child.
Yeah, sure. It's all of these like little like pocket neighborhoods, either on north side or south side. Tends to be where people are. Alice is telling me northwest because she lives nearby. So it's like, all right, fine, northwest. Apologies to all of my Chicago people.
North side is where all like the rich people who are like, I kind of want to be in the city, but I don't want to be in the city live. Come on, Brian.
I'm so sorry that I would put myself there.
Are you guys good at parallel parking?
No.
What? In Chicago?
No.
That's like part of like you have to like if you live there you got like that's part of like the residency you have to know how to.
At my last radio job, we always had to like drive the cars to like go to the events, and so I had a team of 7 people with me, and 5 of us could not parallel park. So we always had to have one person on the team if we went to a place that didn't have like a normal parking lot. We just said, you need to parallel park. I will drive you there and back. I don't care where it is, but you have to parallel park it. I actually had one of my friends, they called me because I was like their lead coordinator, and they said, hey, Lizzie, do you know how like I can't parallel park? And I said, yeah. What happened? They're like, so I tried and I hit an electrical box. And I said, an electrical box is not near the curb. So.
It's rough out here.
Yeah. I understand that for sure. Being in Michigan was cool. Like literally. It was very cool. No,
I've
but,
never been to Michigan. I assume that it's cool. I have a friend who's moving up there actually, and he's like, it's kind of like weird rich kid energy, but also like weird in general. He's like, my parents bought a boat and it's like a boathouse. I said, okay. He's like, I'm gonna go live there and take care of it now. And I said, okay.
Yacht life.
Yeah.
The dream, though.
If you're an edgy kid on a boathouse, you're technically a sea-punk.
Sea-punk, yeah. There's a sea-punk.
I gotta go.
It's God, I feel so bad that we even brought it up because I brought it up before and I'm just like, guys, this is like so stupid esoteric. Like it just nobody knows what the fuck this thing is, including the people who created it. I'm so sorry we even brought it up. But it's like it's coming back around. It's coming back around. Like all these retro things. It's coming back around, you know? Windows 95. It's coming back.
Cassettes, they're all coming back.
Yeah.
Actually,
there was a bit of that, like
Windows 95. Actually, sorry.
I'm never going back to Windows 95.
The next Windows 10 update is actually just going to be Windows 95, but with a little grid. That's all it's going to be.
This is like redesigning Facebook to look like MySpace or some shit.
Do you remember Jazzball?
Jazzball?
Jazzball, not Jazzball, but Jazzball.
No.
Yeah, Google it later on. I recommend. That's my message for this podcast.
It's a subliminal.
Everybody Google Jazzball. I'm surprised you never played that on 95?
I don't think so.
Was it the little pinball game?
No. It was like a box and there was a ball, and then like each round you get further in though, like there's more balls and it's more complex, but like you gotta like click on the mouse to like make this like little like blocks to go up and like fill like the corners or like the walls to like trap the balls basically. It was a pretty cool game. I reckon, but yeah, you know, it was all about time and distance and space between the balls. The cathedral balls.
There's some physics in there,
Cathedral
probably.
Yeah, there's some physics in that. Yeah, that's going to be the next music video coming out. Actually, the next one is just going to be jazz ball. But now I'm trying. Yeah, it's definitely jazz ball.
Yeah, I just found it. And I've never played it.
Oh yeah, it's a game.
It's a
game. You're talking about like Brick Breaker or something, but yeah, this is totally different.
You guys remember Minesweeper? That was I didn't like that one.
I played that so many times and never understood the rules.
Exactly. That's why I didn't like playing it.
Yeah.
I know like the 3, the 2, the 1, and I know the spikes. You're like, but I didn't know how to like accelerate to the. You know, I was like, I'm just clicking things and guessing.
Yeah.
It's like what's that one thing? I don't know what it is. Never mind. But yeah, it's like a catch-22. You eventually.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was just too young to understand that you weren't supposed to blow up the mine. You're supposed to like prevent the explosion of the mine. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, I won. Everything exploded.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to round 2. I did the best. High score.
That's legitimately what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, I found it. I find it every time. Don't worry. I always find the mine.
Solitaire? What about Solitaire? I loved like changing like customizing my card deck.
Yeah. It's insane how all of these games were like we never really had to get better than these games, and the fact that we did is almost arrogant of the human race. Like we already succeeded.
Arrogant.
It's almost arrogant. Like we already succeeded with video games with Solitaire and Minesweeper. I don't know what the hell we're doing here.
Yeah. Well, I hope this has got to be the highlight episode right here about Solitaire. This is things we need to discuss into 2021.
I mean, they had Solitaire and all these other video games, and then they had Dreamcast, which I was a big
Dreamcast. Yeah, I had a Sega Saturn too. Did you ever have that? That was like a brief.
I wanted it. Yeah, it was like. No, I was like, you got a Genesis? What do you need the Saturn for? And I was like, sucks.
Genesis was nice though too.
Genesis was great. There were so many good games on that. Dreamcast was incredible. Dreamcast was a phenomenal system.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi Cab. That was it. And the Donald Duck game was on there.
The Donald Duck game.
Listen, I was like 6 years old.
Yeah,
and then my dad's like, you know how we got these video games? We torrented them on here. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Dreamcast was, you get those, that was like burned CDs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't have any privacy settings on it.
Yeah.
That's why it was so great. Actually, I never did any of that. I was always just scared, but I pretty much just played Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 over and over and over again.
At a certain point, there's a cat.
There's the cat on the stream. Can we get an interview? Can we get an interview with the cat, please? Interview cat.
What do you think? Say hello. Say hello to Evil Social Club. Hi, I'm Lola.
What do you think about the album?
She loved the album. She was literally there the whole time. Like every time, she was actually pretty much the co-producer. She was there for every executive decision.
Does she get to be in the liner notes then?
Yeah, Lola is in the liner notes. You can Google that too. I think you find anything if you Google.
Yeah. A lot of homework for the audience today.
They're going to go through. They're like, I'm listening to a podcast to learn something, but now I have to go learn more.
It's like, shit.
That's everyone should.
Yeah. Come away knowing what jazz ball is after this.
I'm sure there's an app. If you have like Android or iPhone or any phone or anything, you can get that.
Yeah.
Jazz ball. That's very important. I'm gonna get it now. Right after this.
You're like, I need to play that damn game. I'm gonna just like losing whole days to it.
That's the inspiration for the next thing.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like you just
It's gonna
appearing
be
in the game.
Bezball
Like,
and C-Punk.
C-Punk.
It's gonna be so chaotic.
So
it
a
could
lot
be
of
great.
no, yeah, it's good because like coming up with like titles and all that stuff. I just got all these this back catalog here that I can just pull from now. Let's just keep shelling out ideas.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna use it for the next thing.
It's like, this is what I'm saying. It's like you sit around by yourself all day and I just like look at things and I go, I'm not inspired. I have no ideas. And it's like, as soon as you sit with other people, you're like, dude, ideas, just,
It's
I'm like,
everywhere.
this is wild, but like, we got to pursue this. We got to try this thing.
This is cool for me too, because I normally don't, I'm not like, I don't know, I just feel like uncomfortable doing like any kind of like podcast kind of thing. So I feel very comfortable. This is nice. So thank you for having me. And yeah, but yeah, I'm just gonna throw that part out there. So it's like, socializing and all this is,
I feel very like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, I felt like I don't really need these interactions in real life anymore. And then I'm just like, oh, it's because like we're talking to people like every week. And it's like, oh, this is like actually, for me, it's very similar to that feeling of like having those like in-person interactions, not inhuman. That was a weird way of putting that, but like in-person interaction. It's like, it still feels like good. And like, I'm sure for you, it's like when you go to shows and like you get to perform for an audience and meet everybody at the show, it's like you miss that new people that are coming to you and that whole part of like the human interaction is like really lost when you like can't go anywhere and you can't see people. And I'm sure, especially when you have new music to play and it's like, no one can see me play it and I can't talk to people about it and I can't see anybody at the shows anymore.
Yeah, they were both released in the pandemic. So there's like when Velvet Spirit came out, we played a like record release show like the day of, and then we had like some tours and everything planned for like shows, and then that was it. Like that was the only show, and then we played like a little like mini tour. Like we played New York and New Jersey in February, like a week or two before that, and that was pretty much it for 2020. The pandemic started, and that's been it. That's been it, and then that's what like I guess like the writing kind of came into play, but yeah, because like pretty much when I formed the project, it was like constant like shows. I feel like there was like a lot of touring for a short amount of time frame of doing the project. Like pretty much 2019, there was a lot of shows. Like looking back, and I was like, oh wow. So it was kind of a weird transition from playing a lot of shows, and it's like a year basically, and then kind of slowing down and having like all the serious stuff happen, around the world, and just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how the recent album Ether came out, just like being in 2020 with no shows and, not having that is weird, it's like nice though to like, have like more time to work on music, but it's also weird, to not have that, way to release and get together and just like have that, memory and moment of just playing and, seeing artists too and being able to just have that connection. It's good times.
Yeah.
You guys go to a lot of shows or did have?
Yeah.
It's hard to like, go to shows. You've been to a lot of shows before?
Yeah.
Have we been here before? Yeah.
You guys go to shows often? You guys come here often? We I don't know. I stopped going to a lot of shows because I was just like tired.
Yeah, I would tell Brian to come to shows with me and just kind of like bully him to come with me.
It's great when it's like an early show and it's like just a couple of 2 or 3 bands. Like, nice. That's like the perfect time slots.
Exactly. It's like, man, I am tired thinking about it.
Lights out by 9 o'clock. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to be for when shows start happening again. It's going to be all right. So we got to start the show at 5 p.m. Sound check is at 4:30. The show's over by 8:30.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
The funny thing about like this past year and interviewing a lot of musicians is that now everyone's like, yeah, we'll see you when we tour up to Chicago. So it's like, I feel like as soon as shows come back, like we have 100 shows that are all going to line up in the same week. And we're just going to be like bouncing back and forth to saying hi to everybody.
Just ping ponging.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is, depending on what neighborhood it's in, we could probably like run down the street to one and then run back to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of ping ponging around. We actually, so yeah, we have like shows that are like there's a route of the tour. But I'm sure it'll be. I don't really know like what's the plan in terms of like when things are safe and. But yeah, I think it's probably known that it'll get pushed back whenever things are just kind of. Yeah, there's definitely like we got to make up for not playing a show for both the albums released, so we just have like the records and we want to be able to play them out.
Absolutely. Well, we're at about an hour, so I want to give you some space here to give your plugs and tell everybody where they can find all of the stuff on the internets, where they can listen to you, where they can check you out, and then we'll talk for a little bit on Twitch after that. So yeah, where can everybody find you?
You just search Cathedral Bells and it'll show up on Spotify. Instagram, search Cathedral Bells. Spiritgoth is a label that we're on. Yeah. That's it. Check it out.
That's pretty easy. Yeah.
There we go. Short, simple, sweet. Everyone's got to find you now. While they're looking for Jez, they got to look it up too, and just all at once.
Just play Cathedral Bells on Spotify.
It's interesting that like, because I searched for you and I'm like, oh, like for some reason I would have thought Cathedral Bells was like taken from like a long time ago. Like we can't get Emo Social Club on certain platforms because like somebody has taken it, and I was like, damn, like he got it. You know, sometimes you like see somebody and they get like the username and it's like, damn, good.
He did that.
It's not just like some random person with like 2 followers has made one post and it's like, that's a great band name. What are you doing with it?
Wait, Cathedral Bells?
Yeah, because it's just like you have it. Like sometimes people don't get like the screen name that they're looking for.
Maybe I actually get the rights for it like real soon. So it's like my name is officially Cathedral Bells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Cathedral Bells Band or like official Cathedral Bells. It's like, damn. It's just
Cathedral Bells.
It's just straight through.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That sounds good.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better to have it. And it's like, there's always that like risk you take when you're like, I'm going to name it this. And then you're like, let me go check. And then it's like, somebody has it.
So many times. Like, that's the thing is like, just things keep creating. I don't know. It's just, there will be repeats. There is actually, just actually had a conversation about this. There is a Cathedral Bells like duo ambient band you can find on Bandcamp. They're from Cleveland, Ohio. They have recordings of 2011 Bandcamp. So I'm going to put a plug in for them. I hope they're listening. Hopefully, Too Cold in Cleveland, if they're still there. But it's 2011 Bandcamp, another Cathedral Bells, two dose duo. Pretty ambient instrumental tunes there.
Well, after you've listened to this Cathedral Bells,
go listen to the other ones.
If you got time, check out the other one. Check out the other one on
there's other Cathedral Bell, like Bells or Bell, or singular artists out there, or not, maybe just like song titles or album names. This isn't a religion, but you can make Cathedral Bells a religion.
Shouldn't have been for one for funsies. What else are we doing right now?
Yeah.
It's a cult, actually.
Listen, everything is a cult nowadays.
Don't drink the juice.
Don't drink this.
don't take anything anybody offers you after they say that they're a cult. just be like, oh, cool. And then like maybe high five them if you feel comfortable.
Or no, just
Maybe.
you have to do it with your elbow. You're like, okay, now I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, sick. We'll continue the conversation over on Twitch after this. But this will be the end of the podcast episode. Yeah, go and listen to Cathedral Bells. Go check them out on the internet. Google Jazzball, Google C-Punk. Really get your homework in. You know, there will be a test. Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, Matt.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This was a good time. Thank you.